Welcome to That's Canon, the podcast talking about the canon film series and other similar movies. This is episode 69, and I'm Phil.
And I'm Greg.
And
we're middle schoolers.
Yeah, exactly. We're middle schoolers. We just giggled because of the number 69. And we're watching the movie Link.
Yes, not the character from the beloved video game franchise, but a monkey movie.
This is 100% a monkey movie because there's multiple monkeys in this.
There are multiple monkeys, real monkeys, guys in monkey suits, monkey dummies. I think I may be a stop motion monkey once or twice. So
there was a couple moments in this, where I was like, what version of the monkey is this? I think even an animatronic monkey hand at points, I think.
I do. Okay, I'm curious to know where you spotted that, because I don't think I spotted any animatronics, but I can think of a couple spots where that might be just like a like a robot monkey hand.
Yeah, like extreme monkey close-ups. Link was made in 1986, directed by Richard Franklin. The director, Richard Franklin, he actually made Psycho 2. He's the director of that, which that movie's a banger. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't. I thought, didn't Anthony Perkins direct a bunch of the sequels? Did he not do Psycho 2?
I want to say he did Psycho 4, was directed by Anthony Perkins, and maybe he did Psycho 3. I do know that the Psycho 3, I have a soft spot for it, even though it's kind of sleazy. But Psycho 4 is pure garbage.
Oh, Anthony Perkins. But I guess I haven't seen any of the Psycho sequels, so good to hear that 2 is apparently pretty good. I guess this guy's claim to fame.
I will say this. Psycho 2 may be better than Psycho.
Wow. That is a lava hot take from Phil right there.
I'll say this. Everyone knows the twist of Psycho, which I think when you go into the movie watching it, it's very enjoyable. The movie it's a banger. It's a 5-star.
It turns out Anthony Perkins was a monkey the whole time.
Exactly. But I think because so many people don't talk about Psycho 2, you don't really know the story of it or where it's going. And because of that, I think the initial first watch of it was more special.
It gets you. Yeah, I think I know vaguely, like, what is his name in the movie, Anthony Perkins' character?
Norman Bates. I can't believe I blinked on that.
I know, right?
Norman Bates.
God, we're dumb. Anthony Perkins, he gets released from prison, doesn't he? And he comes back and is trying to live a normal life.
Exactly, because Psycho 2 was 1983, and the original Psycho was in the 60s?
I think 59, actually.
It definitely makes sense that he would, get released. And what happens to a Psycho when they get released? That's what Psycho 2 is about, right?
Yeah, they come back and they get a job as an assistant to a chimpanzee researcher, and all hell breaks loose.
Exactly. Psycho was 1960. You're right. It wasn't even the 70s. It was earlier than I thought. I know we're getting super off tangent, and I know we had a Psycho remake in 1998, but I am surprised that we haven't gotten another Psycho thing, right? With all these Lego sequels coming out.
Geez, yeah, you're right. That does seem ripe for, sleazy prequel bait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although we did kind of get that with the TV show.
I always forget
Bates
that
Motel.
Bates Motel is a thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess we did get it. I just slept on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. The worst format.
But Link, the monkey movie.
Yeah, Link, the monkey movie. This stars General Zod.
God.
From Superman.
Damn it. I fucking could not think of... I knew this guy has been in tons of shit, but I could not for the life of me... I was thinking about this the whole movie, Phil. I could not remember what this guy was in, and I knew he would be known for a couple things. General Zod, of course.
General Zod. Terrence Stamp. He was also probably most famous as Chancellor Valorum from episode 1, The Phantom Menace, obviously, for his 4 minutes in that.
Vote of confidence, bitch. Get the fuck out.
Isn't it kind of weird? Like Terrence Stamp, really big actor, and you definitely know him when you see him, but
Yeah.
it just feels like he was one of those guys where when you see him, you're like, why didn't you ever become bigger?
Yeah, he's always a great he's always great in every like little character bit part that he's in. I'm kind of pissed off, or was kind of pissed off that he wasn't in this more than he was. Semi spoilers, I guess, but like he's great in everything. He's a great character actor, and it that's why it annoyed me so bad that I couldn't think of what he was in because I know you've like everyone has seen this guy in something. Probably yeah, at least Star Wars.
Exactly. And then it also stars, or the main star is Elizabeth Shue,
Woo, Elizabeth Shue.
who adventures from babysitting, Back to the Future 2 and 3. She's the replacement for Jennifer in that. I always forget why they had to replace her.
I don't know. Maybe original Jennifer got like Ebola or something.
She got Ebola syndrome. I mean, it's not because the original Jennifer was perfectly fine. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely has that, all American girl look, but it is interesting that she got replaced.
I don't know. Maybe she just didn't want to come. I don't know. Contractual thing. Who knows? But I mean, I ain't complaining. Elizabeth Shue, more happy to have her in anything she wants to be in.
It's an inverse of Eric Stoltz, where Eric Stoltz got fired before the movie came out. The original Jennifer got to do the movie that just never came back for the sequels. That's got to be shit that keeps you up in the middle of the night, too.
Oh, I know, right? Like thinking that you could have been part of it, but weren't. Oh, that's like people who like bought Bitcoin in the very beginning and then like trashed the hard drive and knowing that's like $1 billion hard drive sitting in a dump somewhere.
Somewhere. That's got to be. I remember reading an article about a guy who has 2 more tries on his Bitcoin locker. And if he messes up the password, it's gone forever.
That's even worse than losing the hard drive. Like having the $1 billion hard drive in your house and you can't access it. Oh, bro.
Exactly.
Brutal.
And then the movie stars a bunch of British actors who really haven't done too much since then.
The one guy who shows up at the end, he's the guy in the red sweater. I recognized him and I looked it up. He was one of the bad guys that they shape change into in the last Harry Potter movie.
Oh my God.
I know. He was the guy in like that black trench coat that Harry changes into when they go to bust out whatever his name is.
Sirius Black?
I don't fucking know. they go to the Ministry of Magic to bust someone out, and they use the Polyjuice potion, and they like just like pick random people off the street. And that the black trench coat guy that Harry swipes, he's the red sweater guy in the end of Link.
Interesting.
God, I could like remember that shit, but not Terrence Stamp's major roles. I'm so ashamed.
Exactly. Like you should be over there with your fucking Harry Potter trivia. Harry Potter. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's start talking about Link. So I will say right off the bat, there's no canon logo in this
I know.
intro credits. So I kind of looked at it. I looked it up. This is Canon Screen Entertainment, which I guess is just a distribution center.
Oh,
Canon,
okay.
I guess, didn't make, quote unquote, make this film. They just distributed the film, since this is probably considered a foreign film.
It's just like a British production that they just kind of bought at a market and distributed in the US, I guess.
Which reminded me, like, when I found that out, I was like, how funny is it that one of the first movies that we watched was kind of the same, The Beast in the Cellar, where it was a British movie that canon was just cursory a part of, but didn't really make.
I'm actually really glad you brought that up. Throughout this whole movie, I felt really strong, like, it's hard to put my finger on, like, really strong, like, tonal, like, just kind of like a gut feel similarity to that mom horror classic that we watched. That was, our second episode?
Yeah. Dude, this is total mom horror, too.
Very much mom horror. Mom monkey movie?
Because, exactly, mom monkey movie. Because there's enough in the movie for, like, moms to go, like, oh, that's creepy. but it's not creepy for anyone else but moms. And I think
Mom's
some
not
of
going
it
to choke
has...
on her Werthers while watching this movie.
Exactly. She's worried because of the overtly sexual nature that sometimes the monkeys get into with
Yeah.
Elizabeth Shue.
Oh my god. Boy,
Um,
foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. Music by Jerry Goldsmith.
Fucking Jerry Goldsmith again. Did he not get done dirty badly enough by King Solomon's Mines that he's got to come back for this shit?
I don't know. It's so interesting, though.
Oh my god.
The movie opens up in what I would assume is London, and we get monkey vision, which monkey vision is, it seems like it's missing 0.25 seconds of a frame, right? Like it's kind of stuttering.
Yeah, I feel like there's a name for that video, that effect where they're like dropping frames intentionally, so it almost kind of looks stop motion almost. They did it in music videos a lot, I remember.
Like a strobe effect almost.
Like a strobe effect, yeah, that might actually be the name of it. But yeah, like as we quickly learn that all of the that's how you know you're in monkey vision, where you get like a frame stuttered POV shot.
Low angle frame shutter, exactly. The unknown monkey at the time is chasing a cat to eat it. And the monkey climbs up to like a little girl's bedroom and she starts freaking out because she sees a monkey. And it's kind of weird. That's like the beginning of the movie. We don't see the monkey. We just see like some random British girl freak out.
Yeah. And
that there is a monkey.
There's some really good like the POV, like the monkey vision is kind of cool, but there's really nice camera work throughout this movie, but you see it right away because you get the POV shot of him like climbing up the gutter past the little girl's window, but you also get these really nice like tracking shots of the cat as it's like approaching this like pigeon cage, something like that on the roof. Really, really kind of interesting camera work, really dynamic. So I guess that going for it.
I'm glad you brought that up because the transition from the creeped out British girl to the next London College of Sciences scene was really well done, I thought, and very interesting. Like it pans up to the stove-top pipes of London, and then it fades into from day to night.
Yeah,
or night to day.
There was like a little optical effect there where like, I think they like matted out the college in the background to put it behind the chimney tops, and then like the really seamless it was we're so used to seeing like garbage effects and just garbage, boring, bland camera work in these movies that it's amazing how much good cinematography stands out when we see it.
Exactly. And this movie, like you said, definitely has a few scenes like that. As we transition to the college, we meet Elizabeth Shue, who's walking to Terence Stamp's symposium or lecture on monkeys. Look, I know they're probably apes. I know monkeys and apes are different. I think monkeys have tails and apes don't.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. They're monkeys.
Get that out of the way right now. We're going to be using the word monkey a lot where you probably ought to use ape. Just, listeners, please just deal with it. Monkey is way more fun to say.
Exactly. And as you see from our ad in the magazine, we're monkeys. So Terence Stamp, he's trying to get his students to talk about what's the difference between monkeys and humans, and it's kind of like people are giving like really good answers, but he's like, no, that's not it. It's not because we can talk. It's not because of that, which. Yeah, I think that's like a big difference between us and monkeys is vocal communication, right?
Yeah, like the obvious thing, yeah. I think someone else says like, oh, well, humans are the only species that wages war against each other. Well, no, chimpanzees go to war, blah, 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 blah.
There was no monkey draft in World War II, so.
Oh, man. those Germans really are desperate. They're starting to enlist bonobos in the front lines.
Exactly. There's a really cute chimp, and it's Terence Stamp's, I guess, science buddy, or I don't know. Terence Stamp really talks down about these monkeys in private, but tries to make them seem somewhat equal out in front in his lecture hall.
Yeah, he does. You definitely get that as we when we transition to later scenes. But he these are clearly like experiments, like experiment subjects to him in reality. Like he has nothing but contempt for them.
Exactly. As the symposium or lecture is over, Elizabeth Shue approaches Terrence Stamp, Dr. Phillip, asking if there is a internship, or like, what do they call it when you work with a professor?
You're like a TA.
A TA.
Yeah,
exactly.
Assistant.
Assistant. That's the word I'm looking for. And Terrence Stamp is like, no, I'm not looking for assistant, or I'm looking for semen samples. That was my advertisement in the newspaper, which I thought, like, that's such a weird thing to throw in the movie.
It's
that kind of like throwaway line.
It's weird for two reasons. One, just like on the surface of it, it's a strange thing to put in the movie. Like why would you choose that? Like, are we supposed to think that he's like, is the movie trying to make us think he's a creep? Which, I mean, it kind of does. Like, so why would you use semen sample? But it's weird also because why is a chimpanzee researcher, what need does he have for human semen?
So obviously he's making these monkeys smarter. So maybe he's No, I don't even want to go there.
There's like, oh, that's not for the research, and he just like sprinkles it in his coffee or something.
Exactly. It's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know, but I guess after Elizabeth Shue, she's like, oh, I'm a zoologist. I'm studying how to do that in college, and she's kind of having some kind of affection or
I've read
connection.
Your book.
Exactly. With Terrence Stamp, read the book, blah, blah, blah. Terrence Stamp was like, oh, can you cook and clean? And this is where our quote of the week comes in.
Yeah.
Already, 11 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, freaking 11 minutes in. So just to back up a little bit to set the stage for this line that we're about to hear, as she's chasing Dr. Phillip to his I don't know, his room, his office, I guess, she's asking about the assistant job, and he's like, but you're a girl. And we think he's just being sexist. And actually, I thought, like, Phil, you prepped me to that, hey, there's a line coming. Let's see if you spot it. I thought that was going to be the line because it sounded super sexist. Just the way he said that, but you're a girl. I was like, oh, surely.
Exactly.
Surely that was the line that he was wanting me to pick up on. But no, we get a line now where he's asking, do you cook, clean, that sort of thing? And Elizabeth Shue says, well, I'm female. I guess that gives me a genetic aptitude.
Do you, cook, clean, stuff like that?
Well, I'm female. I guess that gives me a genetic aptitude.
I have a house up the coast. I could use a sort of, assistant during the holidays. Can't pay much, though.
I could not believe that someone wrote that line, even
Right?
in the 80s.
Right? When was this movie? Like that's like some 50s level, like, deep, old sexism going on there. Ugh.
Exactly. Genetic aptitude to cooking and cleaning because she's female.
Poor Elizabeth Shue probably died inside having to say that line.
There's a few things that I would love to ask Elizabeth Shue just about this movie, right? One, how was
Why?
working with monkeys? Because at points it looked terrifying. And two, how shitty did you feel after having to say that? Or did you even think about it? Because maybe at the time it was just so passé. But
Yeah, I mean,
what a horrible
maybe, yeah.
line.
It was like I practically spat out the Reese's Puffs I was eating at the time. Like, I was not expecting that, like, 0 to 11, because the movie is pretty tame up to this point. Granted, it hasn't been going that long, but like, usually the movie will show its cards pretty quick in terms of that kind of humor, or that kind of like sexism or racism or whatever kind of like dated language they're using. But wow, I was not expecting it to go that hard that quick.
And it's not like they even had Elizabeth Shue dressing in some kind of provocative manner. She's very well dressed in this,
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, it's kind of weird that they went so ham, as the kids say. During this conversation, Terrence Stamp makes the offhanded comment as he sees a bunch of pigeon feathers and blood on his windowsill that the ape or monkey that he has was eating birds, and that's what he likes to eat.
Don't we all?
Uh,
Nice, tasty
but
pigeon dog.
exactly. Elizabeth Shue gets the job, and she's going to go out to the beautiful scenic countrysides of England, which, like, some of these vistas do look very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the great camera work continues because they really that camera loves to shoot this like picturesque, coastal countryside in England. And yeah, like the house, this like manor that they take her to, where I guess Dr. Phillip lives and does all of his research, is right on this really pretty rocky coast. And yeah, just a really gorgeous scene. And we get a lot of it throughout the movie, which is nice.
And as Elizabeth Shue is being transported up to this castle in the mountain, she is met with Chekhov's dog because the cab driver goes, "You see those dogs out there? They're dangerous. Beware of those dogs."
I hate that like wild packs of angry dogs excuse as to why it's dangerous to leave the manor. I know that, like, I guess I appreciate that they set it up here in the beginning, but I just hate that as an excuse for why she can't just run away when things hit the fan.
I hate it because of that, and because when I think of England, I don't think of roaming packs of dangerous dogs.
Wild dogs, right? Yeah, that's not what I
Even
think.
Jackie, because Jackie watched this with me, she was like, "What the hell is that about?" She also started questioning what the fuck this movie was even about, because it is. I build it as horror thriller because that's what it says on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest flaws of this movie is that the music does not match what the fuck is going on in this movie.
Oh my god. Yeah, so speaking of Jerry fucking Goldsmith, what is this music about? Because it's like industrial circus music or some shit.
Exactly. That is the perfect way of putting it. It is zany circus music.
Right? It doesn't match at all. It's too whimsical throughout the whole movie.
Jackie said that it reminded her of Gremlins.
Yeah, that's a really... Did Jerry Goldsmith do Gremlins too?
I don't think so, but like hardcore gremlin vibes. But like the monkeys, and we'll get into it, aren't mischievous enough in a endearing way for them to be considered gremlin-like.
Yeah, to have... Because the music... Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it, because the music has a very cutesy feel to it that you think would play over... cute monkeys doing cute things and getting into mischief, but otherwise are fairly harmless. Like it's meant to be played for laughs. That's not what's happened. Like that doesn't match the tone that I assume that they were going for in this. Like where monkeys are dangerous, animals, wild animals that should be feared.
Exactly, feared and respected.
Yeah. But, we get industrial. Ugh.
It's something. As Elizabeth Shue approaches the house, she's a figure in the shadows opens it up, and you're like, okay, this is obviously the butler, very small, but as the shadows fade away or get, faded away, illuminated, we realize that it's an orangutan that answered the door, and it's Link. Now, here's something I immediately noticed about the titular orangutan Link. He is wearing fake ears. Orangutans don't have ears like that. And then I looked it up in IMDb, and one of the trivia is that they put fake ears on the orangutan to make him look more like a
chimp?
Ape. A chimp.
Wow. Good eye. I did not even notice that or really even think about that. But you're right. Like, I'm thinking of orangutans in other movies, and yeah, their ears are much less pronounced. Wow.
Yeah.
Good eye.
In fact, like it's almost like they're just smooth-headed. It was really, I was just like, what the fuck did they do to that orangutan? But yeah, there's actually, when they do close-ups of Link, you can see the headband that they make him wear.
I did not even, wow, I totally got put over best movie. Well done movie, because I did not even notice.
I will say I was surprised by how well it stays on his head, or the fact that the orangutan didn't throw him off.
Yeah,
but
the training in general on Link is off the charts, really good. Fantastic monkey actor, that's for sure.
Exactly. Link and the other chimp that's throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Link shows Elizabeth Shue around the house, and she eventually finds Terrence Stamp, and they have like a little kerfuffle of sorts where Terrence Stamp forgets what day it is, and that Elizabeth Shue is early, and then Elizabeth Shue corrects her. And that's when we're introduced to another chimp. So now there's three. There's Link, who is
Right.
our main monkey actor, right?
Yeah.
There is the younger chimp who I could not understand what this monkey's name was.
Imp.
It Imp?
Yeah, it was Imp.
Okay, that's a really weird name. And then there's an older chimpanzee,
Whose name it's like Victoria or something?
Victoria or Vicky, because
Vicky.
it's a female. What's interesting to note, though, is that the female chimpanzee is clearly an adult. That is an adult chimpanzee. All the other monkeys in this movie are infants or adolescent.
Pretty young. Because wasn't Link didn't they say Link was actually really old? Did they cast a younger orangutan to play an older?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Generally, you only have babies or adolescent monkeys acted your film. The fact that they had a full adult chimpanzee in this movie is extremely dangerous because as they grow older, they become more wild and unpredictable. That's why they don't have like full size normal monkeys in movies. It's always like a baby or something like that.
Yeah, that tracks. God, I mean, they're scary strong enough in their youth, which I think they like is a kind of like a plot thing in this when they're first getting introduced to everyone. Like, oh yeah, they're like, don't get too close. They're like, even at this age, they're 10 times stronger than a human being. I can't imagine, being on set with an adult, fully grown adult chimpanzee as an actor. That'd be scary.
Yeah. That'd be terrifying. Chimpanzees can bench press 1,600 pounds.
Oh my god.
That is insane. Yeah.
Tear your
So,
arms
foreshadowing. As Elizabeth Shue and Terrence Stamp, they start talking to each other. They kind of get to work about, what's going to go on in the house. And Terrence Stamp starts introducing Link and all the amazing things that Link can do. Link wears adult clothes, and I guess he came from a circus, right?
Yeah.
Because he has a couple parlor tricks of sorts that he does eventually in the film.
And you see, I think he's got like posters of his time in the circus throughout some of the rooms in the house too. Where like he's like Link the Master of Fire, because one of his parlor tricks is he'll light, he'll pull out a match from a box of matches, light the match, and use it to light a cigar.
And boy, oh boy, does this monkey smoke in this movie.
He smokes like a chimney.
There's also like offhanded comments that Terrence Stamp gives about how Link wants to get up Elizabeth Shue's skirt. And like it is a sexual connotation, right? I took that as a Link is wanting to see her naked.
Yeah, it's not like, again, it's not a whimsical kind of mischief thing. It's I think that monkey wants to bang Elizabeth Shue, which is super gross.
I think he even says, like, do you have a pair of slacks that you wear? Like, you should wear pants.
Ew.
But yeah, as dinner time rolls around, the monkey starts smoking a cigar, and everyone's kind of having sort of a good time. And then the next day, that's when we start seeing Terrence Stamp and Elizabeth Shue doing the science work. There's like a game that they're playing inside the monkey room where Elizabeth Shue and Imp, they're like testing like shapes and colors and like what's the next in the sequence.
It took me embarrassingly long time to figure out what
Same
the actual
here.
game was, because the problem is, okay, so they've got these like little books in front of them, and yeah, like you said, it's like an IQ test where you have to figure out, okay, they given a certain sequence of shapes of certain colors, what's the next one in the sequence, and they give them like a set of options. What was throwing me off was the way that they pick the options is a set of colored buttons, and I thought for sure that the colors of the buttons corresponded in some way to the colors in the book, but they don't.
Wait, they don't?
No.
Because like as they're sitting down, what we see is like a set of buttons, like 6 different colors. And as they're going through the book, it says A, B, C, D, and E. Oh my God, I just got it.
Right? It's not, the colors have nothing to do. There's like 1 through 5 buttons for A through E. That's all.
What they should have done in the movie then is have like a visual representation of the letters on the buttons.
On the buttons, right? Like we're going down this rabbit hole because we're apparently idiots. But like this is the kind of thing that I always get stuck on in movies, like little minute details that just bug the shit out of me. Like, why would you not just have them all be the same color button?
Exactly. It makes no sense now to have them different colors, unless it's there to confuse the monkeys. But
0 out of 5 stars. Couldn't figure out the monkey game.
Exactly. As the test progresses, Elizabeth Shue, who's smarter than us, understands how to play the game, and she starts beating Imp, which frustrates the monkey to the point where he quits.
Yeah, he just starts mashing buttons and intentionally giving the wrong answer.
And then that upsets Terrence Stamp, who starts insulting and berating all the monkeys inside the room.
Which
I could kind of get, but chimpanzees probably have like the emotional intelligence of a child.
Yeah, right? Like it seems, I would say, unprofessional that he would be flying off the handle when he's not getting the results that he wants. You know what I mean? It just seems like a weird thing for like a researcher to do to his research subjects.
If it was of a lesser animal, and fucking PETA people can just fuck off. If it was like a prairie dog, I can understand being like, fuck you, prairie dog.
Prairie dog.
Right?
These goddamn prairie dogs don't know their colors.
A primate has way more intelligence than, just your normal animal.
Yeah.
And as we can see, or we find out, monkeys hold grudges. So I would never double cross or like upset a monkey willingly or knowingly.
Like I think you just answered the question about why they did this is because they needed some way to set up the fact that this professor is kind of a dick in general, but also a dick to his research subjects, to the apes. Like we need to establish that there's like animosity there to set up what happens later. Spoilers.
Exactly, what happens later is almost immediately. He sends Elizabeth Shue out to get some food because he has to sedate the older female monkey because, unbeknownst at this time, that monkey is going to get terminated because of age or something.
I don't know. Yeah, we originally think that they're just being sold. They're being sold off. But yeah, as we realize later, they're being euthanized basically for some reason.
Yeah, and euthanized doesn't mean we're making them younger. It means that's going to be a dead monkey. As Elizabeth Shue re-enters with food, Terrence Stamp is like, "Get out of here," because the monkeys are all going crazy, and she leaves to go answer a phone. And there's just, I don't know, there's not enough time for the actions that happen in my mind to actually happen. But we do see Terrence Stamp get attacked by the monkeys. Right. Or at least Link.
Yeah,
right?
Do we see, because we see a part where he's like almost getting surrounded by them.
Yeah.
And it's getting very tense. The circus music is really bumping at this point, trying to get our heart rates up. But then I think it stops short of actually us seeing any kind of like them lunging at the professor.
Yeah, it's just building that like tension, which you'd also think Terrence Stamp would have some kind of like taser or monkey spray to control these things.
Monkey spray. What would be in a monkey spray? Like banana pheromones or something?
Yeah, or like the antithesis of bananas. Like what's something that like monkeys hate? Like it's like tiger piss, and it like makes them afraid, right?
It's just like regular perfume or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Old lady perfume.
But yeah, Terrence Stamp, I guess, takes it like a champ, and by that, I mean he gets killed.
Off-screen.
Off-screen dies. Ugh. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with this movie is out of all the 4 people that die, almost all of them, it's done off screen or in a way that's obfuscated to where you don't actually see what happens.
Yeah, and that's like one of the critical or one of the key mom horror aspects of this movie is that it's all done off camera. Very light on the violence, light on the blood. I don't think there's really, I mean, I guess there's like some blood, like puddles and footsteps of blood, but we don't really see anyone bleeding, do we?
No, you never see someone like profusely bleeding.
Yeah. There's no gore in this movie by any stretch, so it's very much tame in that regard.
Which is a little upsetting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Terrence Stamp is dead, and Elizabeth Shue has found a cellar underneath the kitchen area, and she's exploring she's exploring the monkey dungeon, and it comes out to this beautiful rock formation as she's seeing, like, I don't know, like the Cliffs of Dover or whatever the fuck it's called. But as Jackie acutely noticed, she's like, hey, that rock formation looks like a vagina.
I noticed the same thing too.
Okay.
I'm glad. I wasn't gonna say anything because that would make me look like a creep, but Jackie said it first.
Exactly. After her monkey dungeon exploration, she comes back up to the ape room where she hears Terrence Stamp go away, I'm busy.
Leave me alone. Stop bothering me.
Exactly. Which she does, and she goes back exploring the house, only to find Link next to a gas stove trying to strike a match. Which, Chekhov's gas.
Chekhov's gas stove, yep.
Elizabeth Shue goes down to the cellar, the monkey dungeon, and turns off the gas appliance. Which you can only assume is going to set something up.
Yeah. I guess if this movie does anything right, aside from some good camera work, everything that happens is usually set up in some way. The dogs, the monkey dungeon exit down to the beach, the gas shutoff valve in the basement, all that stuff. Wink, wink. Remember it. It'll come back later.
Exactly. Now Link and Elizabeth Shue are having a conversation using like codes where Link is saying that they need to cook the phone, and Elizabeth Shue is going, no, you can't cook a phone. It's a pretty cute scene that shows the intelligence of Link.
Yeah.
But it goes on like a little bit too long. Like we the audience get what they're trying to do. We don't really need to like say cook phone like 1,000 times.
Yeah, like we already clearly suspect Link is more intelligent than she realizes. And when I think we needed cook phone to establish, he's trying to like shut off the house from the outside world. But there's the back and forth of him arguing with Elizabeth Shue about wanting to cook the phone, fire good. Like, you're right, it kind of goes along a little too long. We've already established what we need to establish.
Exactly. Elizabeth Shue gets distracted and she goes outside, only to return to see Link microwaving the telephone. And now as she knows, only link to the outside world has been destroyed. As Elizabeth Shue falls asleep, she wants to investigate the monkey room. There is a moment in this scene where Elizabeth Shue's walking upstairs, and there's it pans to the left as she walks up, and there's like a little cutout underneath the stairs, and Link is just kind of chilling there, looking menacingly in the shadows underneath the stairs.
Really?
Did you not see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh my god. Well, I'm putting together a weird moments of Link video, and that's going to be in there.
Zoom in real close on that, yeah.
Lost her shit when she saw the monkey there. Lost her shit. She was like, that's the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, man. I can't wait for you to do that video, because now I'm going to go back and try to find it now.
It's insane. But Elizabeth Shue, she eventually gets inside of the monkey room, and that's when she notices that Imp is stuck in the cage, and the cage is like kind of busted open, and Imp is trying to get out, but obviously can't.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then,
he was like mid escape from the cage, like but the bars are bent outward, like he was clearly freaked out about something that was trying to escape.
exactly. So she tries to get him some food, and as she's looking through the cabinets, she finds the dead body of the older female monkey. And it's like, I don't know, it looks like it got bashed, right? Like there's blood on the monkey. But this starts off a series of what the fuck moments in my mind, because Link and Imp are standing there looking at the dead chimpanzee, and Elizabeth Shue is talking to Link as if he's gonna answer. She's like, "What did you do to him? What happened here? Why is she dead?"
Yeah,
And then it just cuts to Link looking at Elizabeth Shue for like way too long.
gazing at her menacingly.
Yeah.
We got to talk a little bit about the dead ape because Phil, it looks real bad.
It does. Out of all the things in this movie that look really cool, they got like the most rubber looking chimpanzee.
It looks totally rubber, doesn't it? It's like it's super stiff and it's got that like rubbery sheen to it. Like it looks like a rubber chicken, like that kind of
Yeah.
material, right? Like they
And
they cast it out of a mold.
And the fact that the monkey's arms are like held up, right? It's in like a position where the monkey's arms are vertical as it's laying on its back. I guess like rigor mortis, but
Monkey
it
rigor
just
mortis, yeah.
it looks really fucking hokey.
Yeah, it looks way too stiff, and it's got that, that kind of like grimace on its face, like it's like mid being bashed. It's like like we were led to believe that the monkey just was frozen solid at some point at room temperature in this closet.
Carbonite. The monkey got frozen in carbonite.
The monkey carbonite, yeah.
But yeah, it is a bad. I think all the dummies in this film look bad.
They do. They're all kind of rubbery. Thankfully, I mean, we don't. This is the worst we get of it. Like this is the most direct shot, most direct glance we get of it. They hide it a little better at the rest of the movie when we see them, but God, yeah, doesn't set a good tone for the special effects.
Exactly. The next day, Elizabeth Shue has decided to try to find the doctor, who may be down in the town. So Elizabeth Shue sets off on foot to find him. She notices that Link is following her, but so are the evil dogs. And she starts getting chased up one of the hills, and out of nowhere, Link comes in and just bashes the shit out of one of these dogs.
Yeah.
And we get a rubber dead dog.
Oh.
Which, like, I thought the scene was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It kind of happens quick, and it's really kinetic, and they're shooting it from the top, so you don't really notice that it's probably a guy in a suit bashing a rubber dog onto a fence.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty effective too. I think you're right. Shooting it from the angle that they did does a good job to hide that it's probably a guy in an orangutan suit, but it does a good job establishing the fact that like Link has a temper. I mean, I think we already kind of get that, but that he's capable of flying off the handle and committing heinous acts of violence right away.
It has a temper and seems to like Elizabeth Shue. Because after he kills the dog, he smiles and holds his hand out in a way as if she's going to give him a high five or some kind of affection, right?
Yeah. Wants to be told he's been a good monkey, basically.
Exactly. The sexual tension between Link and Elizabeth Shue are strong in this film. As they return home, there's a phone ringing somewhere in the house, and Elizabeth Shue is able to find it, and on the other line is her boyfriend, who's like, "Oi there, love."
Oh, what's going on with them apes then?
There's one guy in this group of three whose accent is so thick. When he did talk, the few lines that he had, I was like, I have no idea what he's saying.
To American ears, yeah, it just sounds like he's got a mouthful of marbles, and yeah, I kind of needed subtitles.
Yeah. Elizabeth Shue conveys the information that she doesn't know where the doctor is, and that the phone lines are ruined. And as she looks outside, Link is there pulling the phone lines off the house from like the side of the house.
Yeah, he's like doing a trapeze act on the phone line, and it's like starting to crack up while she's on the phone, and then when he finally gets off the wall, obviously the line goes dead.
Yep. So the guys are like, okay, we need to get up there and save Elizabeth Shue. And Elizabeth Shue starts to reasonably get worried about what the hell is actually going on.
But first,
but first,
she's got to take a shower, Phil.
Exactly. So this scene was so awkward.
It was so awkward.
It was so awkward because at first I'm like, awesome, she's taking a shower. But then the monkey sexual tension kicks in and it removes any eroticism from the scene itself to where you can't appreciate how pretty Elizabeth Shue is. And you're just going, that the monkey is looking at Elizabeth Shue.
And I'm uncomfortable now.
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
you almost think that they did it intentionally to make the audience feel bad, because the first time you're like, ooh, like she's pretty, we're getting a nude scene of a pretty girl, like, like that primal aspect of it kicks in, but then you're immediately weirded out by the sexual tension with the ape.
Exactly.
That had to have been intentional. Like, they were trying to slap the audience's hand for ogling Elizabeth Shue.
And it's even weirder because she's drawing the bath and she's wearing a robe. And as she walks to the door, she notices Link and she disrobes in front of him, showing off her body.
Yeah.
And then she goes to close the door, in which this is where we get like the monkey robot hand. The monkey hand goes in the door jamb and prevents the door from being closed.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a rubber. Yeah, you're right. That was fake.
And then the Link opens up the door and Elizabeth Shue just stands there.
Like, not even bother trying to cover up.
Yeah, stark naked, letting Link just look at her.
Was she like...
And
she's
like... Go ahead.
Was she considering, like, her options here?
I 100% believe that there was a moment, whether it was intentionally Elizabeth Shue or written this way, and I can see the direction, right? Where they're like, okay, Elizabeth, and then you're going to turn towards Link, showing off your body as if it's a transaction.
Oh my God.
I will let you see me naked in order for you to leave so I can take a bath. Right? Because, like, she modestly turns and she's kind of covering her body, like certain bits. And she looks so awkward standing in front.
Very uncomfortable
of Link.
At first.
And then, obviously, the transaction failed. The look, and again, monkeys can't fucking act. But the look, the dead-eyed orangutan look is so awkward.
Oh my gosh. The deep psychology and symbolism of this speechless scene between naked Elizabeth Shue and this orangutan and monkeys in adult clothing. What is going through their minds?
There is more context in this 4-minute scene between Elizabeth Shue and orangutan than Chuck Norris ever had in his entire career.
Oh my 100% agree. But, like, we have to, like, everything you said is absolutely interpretation that the audience could have. We're weirdos, so of course we take it to, like, the 11th degree. But, like, there's a lot of lingering glances. Like, you have to think something is weirdly going through their minds in this case.
Even Jackie, who had a few drinks, when that orangutan wants to have sex with Elizabeth Shue.
I mean, like, how could you think anything else? I mean, I could be charitable and just say, oh, she's afraid to be too cross with him because she doesn't want to get attacked, because she's already seen him go off the handle and kill that dog, right? So maybe she's, like you said, she's just, like, letting him get an eyeful so he doesn't, like, get pissed off and attack her.
Yeah.
That's the best I can give this movie. But at the worst, yeah, this monkey wants to bang Elizabeth Shue, and it's super uncomfortable for everybody.
It's super uncomfortable. Enough of this scene. So eventually Elizabeth Shue gives up on trying to take a bath. She goes to sleep. And the next day, there's a random British guy inside the house trying to pick up Victoria, the dead
was there monkeys
monkey.
at? I want my monkeys.
Exactly. This guy, again, he has a super thick British accent, and he does say stuff like that. He's like, I'm here to get the monkey.
I'm here for the monkeys,
In which Elizabeth Shue informs him that the monkey's dead, and then he gets upset, and he starts to leave, thus invoking the rage of Link,
Yeah.
in which he attacks the monkey guy.
The monkey wrangler, yeah.
There's like, I don't know, it's kind of, I guess it's the most fun monkey attack scene in the movie, because Imp is even in on it. He like deflates one of the tires, and Link is smashing a gun, but then it goes over the top, in which Link lifts up this guy's van from the side and almost tips it over, and doesn't, because Elizabeth Shue's like, don't do that.
Yeah, so at first I had the same reaction you do, where I was like, okay, yeah, no fucking way this orangutan is going to be lifting up this giant van that was, made in probably the 70s, which means it's like solid steel. There's no way the monkey's lifting that car. But on the other hand, like, could an adult orangutan lift a modern car, like a lighter modern car, do you think?
I think so. Especially from like maybe the side, and if I'm assuming monkeys get adrenaline, and like you get the adrenaline pumping,
Sure.
because obviously Link is like in attack mode.
Yeah, exactly.
So he probably has like adrenaline pumping through his veins, but Link is not a large orangutan. He's like I don't know, like an 8-year-old size. He's not fully grown.
Right, kind of on the small side for sure, compared to like orangutans we would get in, I don't know, like Planet of the Apes, the new ones, right?
Yeah.
Much smaller. But like, I don't know. I at first I was kind of annoyed by how unrealistic it was, but it got me thinking about like, shit, like that might actually be possible now. At which point the scene became actually genuinely scary, because I imagined myself in like a little Ford Focus or something, getting the car lifted up by a silverback gorilla. Ugh, terrifying.
Oh, that would be terrifying. I'm assuming it's not even like the next day. Elizabeth Shue is cooking, I don't know, some British meal.
Or fish and chips,
Exactly.
I don't know.
Imp and Link are outside playing and kissing. Like, they are kissing each other in this scene. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Link standing on top of a well, in which we find out that Link has thrown Imp inside of there. Elizabeth Shue starts to berate Link and locks him outside, which very much upsets him.
Yes.
Which I that's understandable. He doesn't want to be outside. It's raining and cold, and everyone else is inside.
And most importantly, because we've established, I think Terrence Stamp said this early on when he's like kind of like showing her the ropes, like, you like, don't let things escalate. Like, even if they do something really bad, you got to like show them that you forgive them, so that they calm down and don't freak out and get violent. And critically at this point, Link he puts his hand through the mail slot in like that, that forgive me pose that he did earlier with the dog, and she doesn't forgive Link.
Exactly. Bump, bump,
Dun, dun, dun.
Later that night, Elizabeth Shue is in the monkey room, playing with Imp, and they find Terrence Stamp's glasses. Imp is wearing them. He looks totally adorable.
Super dapper. Love it.
But she also plays a reel-to-reel player, which is, for those who don't know what a reel-to-reel is, it's kind of like a giant cassette. For people who don't know what cassettes are, they're
What's tape, Phil?
magnetic tape. And she plays it, and she hears the phrases that Terrence Stamp said to her earlier, of like, leave me alone.
Right.
And we get this really old-timey effect of like a shadow memory shows up in like the top left corner of the film, in which she replays the memory.
Yeah, it's like her banging on the door. It's like that little shot superimposed in the corner of the frame with we're seeing her remember when those lines were said earlier in the movie. It's really strange. I mean, it was obvious to me that that's what those lines were from. I don't think they needed to do that.
Yeah, and it's even at this time, that effect was so old and
Old-timey.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A staple of Mom Monkey movies.
exactly. The next day, Elizabeth Shue is looking out at the vistas of England as she sees the pack of roving wild dogs, as well as the van from the monkey man who came earlier. And Elizabeth Shue sets off to investigate it, in which she finds that the van is still on, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Link is there. And
Monkey jump scares. Woo!
Exactly. Elizabeth Shue employs the help of Link to help get the car moving. So Link is like pushing it down a mountain, and Elizabeth Shue's trying to drive it.
Yeah, like as soon as you see the setting, like we're on like a hilly, windy road, kind of in some steep hills, over like right next to a cliff that goes into the ocean, you know exactly where this is going as soon as you see all these set pieces start going, start going into motion.
Exactly. And this is our first moment of man in monkey suit. There's like a wide shot of the van driving away, and Link behind there, kind of like jogging behind it, and it's clearly a guy in a suit.
Clearly got a monkey suit, yeah.
But yes, as Elizabeth Shue starts slowly rolling down the hill, she gets closer to these cliffs, and Link continues to push her off. She escapes narrowly in time to save her life. As she looks over the cliff, she sees Dr. Phillips' car. So now she's putting it together that Dr. Phillips didn't leave to go to town, and that Link may be possibly linked to the murder.
So did Link intentionally like take the car out of, because his car was in the driveway at the time that he was attacked. Did Link just like push the car like a mile down the road over the cliff?
I think so.
That's
I don't know. It's
devious.
kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Again, because like there wasn't enough time for the things that happened to happen.
Yeah, because you would think
Once
that would
you
take
start
him a
adding
while.
it all up. Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. As Elizabeth Shue and Link start to walk back up to the house, Elizabeth Shue sets off on a run because she realizes that Link is dangerous, and Imp opens up the door just in time. We get a really great monkey vision shot.
Woo, monkey vision.
And then Elizabeth Shue finds a shotgun inside the house, and again, like Chekhov's gun, right? Like now we have a shotgun.
So like
Link, go ahead.
was it at this point? I can't remember. At some point during this like chase, I think it was right after the car got went into the off the cliff, like where Link is chasing her. I think it is this point where he's chasing her and we get the monkey vision, but we're also hearing like roars. They sound like lion, or tiger, like big cat roars. Did you hear that too?
I did. It was really weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, I ain't no monkey expert, but I don't think orangutans can roar like that.
I started to think that maybe Link was genetically modified, and thankfully we never got it, but that we were going to get like a talking monkey scene.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
I wish we had gotten a talking monkey scene. That would have been awesome. Link says something at the very end.
Especially like this last 30 minutes of the movie, Link starts displaying extreme feats of logic and problem solving.
Yeah, like devious problem solving, like a slasher would in a slasher movie.
Because Link is now locked outside of the house, but he finds an air vent to open, and he starts crawling through it like he's John McClane or something.
Come out to the coast, have a couple laughs.
There's even like scenes of him crawling through it and like low crawling through the vents of this house or the floorboards of the house. Eventually Link does bust in, and Elizabeth Shue shoots him through a door with the shotgun that we saw earlier. The shotgun, hole is huge through the door, and it has clearly hit Link because we see blood. That monkey would be fucking dead.
Yeah, like this is, I mean, you say shotgun, it's like one of those giant old-timey elephant guns. It's
Yeah.
freaking huge. Like, honestly, the hole in the door should have been bigger. Like, it should have just, Link should have exploded if he got hit by that. I guess it just nicked him, though, through the door, because she really couldn't see him. He was banging on the kitchen door, and she was just firing wildly in that direction.
It's exactly, but when we see Link, he has blood on him, but not nearly enough blood to...
Yeah, to match up with that kind of gunshot wound, for sure.
Exactly. Elizabeth Shue and Imp, they take refuge in the monkey dungeon because Link is on the attack. And they go out to the water cliffs. And we cut to Elizabeth Shue's British boyfriend and her two friends. As they pull up to the house, they see a pool of monkey blood. And one of the guys, like,
Sticks
dips his
finger
finger in it. I was like, don't eat it.
Like,
You're going to get some disease.
I am so glad you called that out too. Like, what is it with people in movies and just sticking their fingers into random pools of liquid? Like, that could be diarrhea for all he knows. Like, it could be some nasty ass liquid that you don't want your fingers in. Ugh.
Yeah, what if it's it's animal blood, which is worse enough, but what if it is animal shit?
Yeah,
you know?
like, I mean, it's like a monkey compound. There could very well be shit outside. There probably is. And he's just sticking his fingers in things.
Put the tip of your shoe in it if you want to look at it, right? To get... Or just, I don't know.
Yeah, just
or
bend
just leave
down
it
and
alone.
look at it. Just, like, get up close to it if you really want to inspect it. Get a stick. Just anything but your, like, index finger. And then, like, you think he puts it right up to his face, too. You think he is going to, like, take a lick.
Yeah, because it gets right up to his lips.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey blood. As these doofuses investigate the house, they find the shotgun and the barrel's bent. And all these guys are like, "Oi there, bruv, we shouldn't be here." Like,
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
These two guys are super smart. They're like, we shouldn't be here. We need to leave. But the boyfriend obviously insists on trying to find Elizabeth Shue. One of the guys goes back outside to the well where Imp was thrown down, and he finds the dead body of Terrence Stamp in the well in a cage. Which again, like, how did he get there? There wasn't enough time for the monkeys, whatever. But what is even weirder about this scene is we're seeing from the bottom of the well up towards this British guy, right? Leaning over into the well. And then he comes to the realization that there's a dead body at the bottom of the well, which is Terrence Stamp. But somehow Link is inside the well, hiding somewhere, and then pulls him down. Like, the guy would see Link.
Yeah, that's... Damn, you're right. Because, yeah, you get a shot from the guy's perspective looking down into the well, and you see pretty much the whole well, like the whole shaft of the well, up to, like, the top of the rim. Like, there's nowhere for him to hide off to the side. Because you're right, like, that we get that jump scare of the monkey arm coming up and pulling the guy down over the edge, and then he turns into a dummy for the fall.
Horrible dummy.
A really bad looking dummy. But you're right. Where was he hiding?
I don't know, but you said shaft.
69 shaft.
Exactly.
Oh.
The guy gets thrown down the shaft of the well and he dies because he turns into a dummy.
He turns into a dummy and his hand flies off.
And and you only turn into dummies in movies if you die. We cut to Elizabeth Shue trying to scale the mountains or the cliffs of this embankment, and she just can't do it. She takes like a nasty spill down the side of the cliff, but Imp is able to traverse it no problem. And Imp kind of disappears for the rest of the movie, and we'll see why once we get to the end. The reason Elizabeth Shue falls down the mountain is because she finds the dead body of the monkey man from earlier.
Yeah.
Who's in a bush, who wasn't next to his car. It doesn't matter. We cut back to the house where more monkey mayhem is happening.
And more monkey circus music, industrial circus music.
Exactly. The other doofy guy sees Link through the front door, and he closes it, and Link is able to reach through and grab the guy's hand, and he pulls his arm off because the man is stuck between the door and Link on the other side, and he rips it off. But then the body's gone once Elizabeth Shue enters the house again.
Yeah, that was hard to piece together because, well, I'll say this: the pull of the arm, like he gets when he gets his hand grabbed and he gets pulled through the mail slot, like that looked really rough, and it looked like the real actor. Like I don't think that was a dummy. Like he hit the door really hard. But you're like when that's all you see, and then we cut away, and then when we see it later when she walks by that spot in the room, like the whole mail slot is like broken out of the door, and there's like a giant, ugly hole there with blood around it. Like, what happened after the fact?
Exactly, it's weird. And then Elizabeth Shue and Link, they see each other again. Elizabeth Shue's holding a knife, but she puts it down. She doesn't go for the attack, and she runs away from Link. And then we find out that the boyfriend is somehow in the floorboards of the house, but we don't see how he ever got there.
Yeah, did he get because we just see him wake up there, like he clearly had been knocked out or something, and then I assume dragged there by Link, because that's where we saw him crawling through earlier. But again, this is all like stuff that happens off camera. Show us that attack. Show us Link like knocking him out and dragging him under the floorboards to hide him from Elizabeth.
Exactly.
Otherwise it's just he's just waking up under the floorboards randomly. Really disjointed.
It is very disjointed. Even Jackie was like, "Did we miss something? Did we fall asleep?" I was like, "No, this just happened."
Yeah. Sometimes you just wake up on the floor.
Exactly. Now Elizabeth Shue, she runs outside and she sees the guy's car. She gets inside of it, and she's attempting to run over Link in the car. This is the most boring attack, quote unquote, attack of the entire film. It's because the courtyard area that she's driving in is so tight, and she's not allowed to get momentum up. It's really just Elizabeth Shue doing a really shitty 100-point turn over and over and over again.
Honestly, I wasn't sure what she was doing. I actually thought that she was trying to escape in the vehicle, and that she just couldn't, she was, doing like a 10-point turn to just get out of the driveway. It didn't occur to me until well into this little bit that she was actually trying to run Link over and going, but it was like that gag in Austin Powers where he's trying to do that like a 1,000,000,000-point turn in the hallway with a golf cart. It was laughably goofy.
It was. And eventually she gets to the point where Link falls down and hits the car. And she has, again, you have to have characters do dumb things. She gets to the point where she could run Link over, but instead she investigates the body, and then Link wakes up and starts the attack again. That's when Elizabeth Shue's boyfriend wakes up and is like, "Help me, my leg's broke."
Which apparently also happened off camera. His leg got smashed. Guess we got to use our imaginations.
Yep. She puts it in a splint, and then there's just a really boring chase throughout the house in which Elizabeth Shue and the boyfriend end up in the kitchen again, and they're barricading themselves inside.
Right.
And that's when Elizabeth Shue notices the exposed gas pipe, and the plan starts to formulate inside of her head, and she goes back down into the monkey dungeon and turns the gas on and starts to berate Link that he can't cook and that he shouldn't light a match.
Monkeys can't smoke. They're too dumb.
This scene goes on for too long. Like, this whole coaxing Link to light the match is seriously, it feels like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. She's, really ripping into how stupid apes are. It almost, it almost crosses the line from, her, okay, she's carrying out a plan, to it just seems cruel after a certain point. Some of the things that she's saying to him. It's like, oh, you don't have to cut that deep, Elizabeth. Jeez.
And obviously the gas is filling up the room and there's going to be an explosion, but Elizabeth Shue and the boyfriend inside the monkey dungeon only go down like 10 feet into the cave instead of like the very end of the cave.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, is absurd. Like, you'll hear the explosion happen.
Yeah, and like the hearing, that's a good point, because she hears him fumbling with the matchbook, and that's how she knows that her plan is going to work. Like, if she's close enough to hear a monkey fumbling with a box of matches through a floor, you are way too close to what's going to explode.
Exactly. And an explosion there is, but somehow the explosion isn't big enough to kill Link. He kind of just gets pushed to the side. And at this point, I went, what the fuck? How the fuck is this monkey not dead yet? And I started getting really upset. And I looked at the time and I was like, okay, there's only 7 more minutes left. What the fuck are they going to do?
The reason that he didn't die is because he turned into a guy in a monkey suit. And,
yes.
And that guy died. Link is okay, though.
He hit that wall hard.
He hit that wall hard.
Thus ensues, like, the most confusing 7 minutes of the movie. If you thought monkey on human eroticism was weird, a hyper-intelligent monkey that's inside of a now burning building with the front door fully open and not utilizing it to escape.
Yeah.
Confused me sorely.
Instead, he decides to hang out in this burning psycho house. Starts
doing
climbing up the
monkey
banister.
shit.
Yeah, like he's like swinging around, having a good old time. He starts taking all of his clothes off for some reason because he's had the tuxedo on this entire movie, but now he decides he wants to disrobe and starts making his way up to the roof.
I am so glad that you feel the same way. I will say though, there is this transition where Link goes from one room to the next. And there's a really great, like, I don't know how they did it unless this whole building is a set, where essentially they go, like, above the banisters of the house. Essentially, they're, like, breaking the fourth wall of the house in order to transition from one room to the next.
Like as if the ceiling were invisible and you just see the rafters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was really great. And, like, the whole burning house sequence using a real monkey around fire... It looked cool, but it just went on for so long.
And you're right. It looked really cool. But you're right. It goes on too long and just doesn't make sense. Like
the music doesn't match what's happening because again, it's
more
that sadistic circus music.
Yeah, stupid like Halloween soundtrack circus music. While this monkey with apparently no sense of self-preservation is just going feral at this point. Doesn't make any sense.
To the point where he climbs to the top of the house. And on top of the house, there's like, a little outlook area. And he starts doing a victory dance of sorts.
Yeah.
And then the floor comes out from underneath him. He turns into an optical effect. And he falls into the fire.
You know what, Phil? I think it's the same dummy that we saw earlier, actually.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because I think it's in the same pose, that kind of like... arms stuck out like a mummy pose with a grimace on the face.
It was so, like, the ending is so poorly executed.
Really cheesy, yeah.
So poorly executed. And then we cut to the next day. Elizabeth Shue is driving away with her boyfriend, and they find Imp. Despite the fact that they got traumatized by Link, they're willing to pick Imp up and drive with him.
Yeah, that did not make any sense to me at all. Like, traumatize is the right word to use there, because I would not be picking up random apes off the side of the road. I don't care how familiar I am with them. After going through something like that, where I'm basically in a slasher movie where the monkey is Michael Myers, hell no.
Exactly.
I'm booking it to the hospital.
But Elizabeth Shue allows the monkey to come inside, and as she starts to drive away, the camera pans out and we see a bunch of dead livestock. Kind of indicating that Imp is also dangerous.
I thought that was a nice touch, actually.
It is good because it kind of sets up that all these monkeys are kind of fucked up. And was Imp in on any of the chaos that happened throughout the film?
I smell a sequel.
Exactly, sequel bait. But the movie it's bad. It's bad for all the wrong reasons, and there's a couple parts that I do enjoy. Like, I think we had a great discussion of monkey sexuality, and I think there's a lot of like great things inside this movie, but there's also just so much
A lot of
dead
nothing.
air.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the exact same page. It's a movie that has really like strong high spikes of interesting things, but with a whole lot of nothing. And like there were really 80% of this movie, maybe 90%, I was just legitimately bored by.
I know, and I was so excited to see this.
Yeah, I think maybe having that element of disappointment is probably also at play here, where I think we kind of built this one up in our minds because, I mean, think of it like the premise sounds awesome, where it's like it's kind of it's kind of like a slasher mystery, only it's an ape, or like it's Jaws with a monkey. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like a cool premise, but it just doesn't get like we get little slivers of what that good movie is in our minds, but it's mostly just boredom.
Yeah, it fails on just so many levels. I think killing Terrence Stamp in the beginning of it was so early was
Yeah.
a giant mistake.
Yeah,
Right?
and it really was just kind of like watch Elizabeth Shue play with monkeys, the movie, for like an hour and a half.
Yeah. And not even in like a fun way
No.
watching her play with monkeys. Because Link was monkeys are cute, but Link was so not cute and kind of creepy, and I get that's probably what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
But there wasn't even the point where like, oh, Link is so cute. Like maybe he's not really doing this. Maybe it's something else. It was so on the
Yeah.
nose throughout the entire film.
It was. You're right. I think it's a good point. It was really obvious from the very beginning that he was sort of the evil one. But I think we needed, because we've got multiple apes in the movie. We need a little bit of that kind of whodunit element, where you're not sure which one is the evil one, and then they just start dying, and you're not sure who's doing the killing. That could have been cool. Like have more scenes of Link being the kind of like helpful, cute, intelligent, smart monkey in a good way. Like have him maybe when Imp was failing the test and getting frustrated, have Link walk over and like ace the test in front of her.
Exactly.
Something like that.
It was just, yeah, it was definitely a failure on multiple levels. Elizabeth Shue did a great job with what she was given. Like she definitely,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can, again, it's one of those things where I don't understand why Elizabeth Shue
Why'd she take
didn't-
this role?
why did she take this role, and why wasn't she in every movie like some actresses are, right? Like Sandra Bullock in the 90s, she did so much. Why wasn't Elizabeth Shue like that?
That is a really good question, because before we were having the conversation here, I looked her up, just kind of skim her page, her IMDb page, and like she's known for Karate Kid, the Back to the Future sequels, and Adventures in Babysitting, and then to a lesser extent maybe Hollow Man, but like that's really it as far as her big movies. Like she really wasn't in a lot of big tentpole summer movies, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I would think she would work great as like a scream queen in horror stuff too, but
Exactly. And I thought she was going to have a resurgence because she was in The Boys for the first season. And I remember like watching it going, oh my God, Elizabeth Shue's in this. And kind of hoping that she would have more to do recently. But it just doesn't seem like it's happening. Like she's obviously still acting and she's doing stuff,
yeah.
but it's not the stuff that's going to theater, right?
Yeah, it's all
not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
there's a lot of prestige, I think, in like the Netflix series now. But yeah, it's either way. In any case, it's not enough because she's great. I've seen her in everything, but
Yes.
maybe it was like an intentional choice on her part. Who knows?
Could be. Some actors and actresses choose to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna give Link a 1.5.
Yeah, 2 for me. I think.
It just didn't hit the right spot, and I think one of the biggest issues, and this was Jackie's biggest complaint too, was that the music just doesn't match the scenes at all.
No.
And I think that's definitely a big part of horror is the music and the sound design, and this just failed.
Yeah, I think someone thought like Jerry Goldsmith probably saw like one page of the script and said, "Oh, it's monkeys and they're doing things up." He made a mental leap from monkeys to circuses and then went with that and ran with it, and no one
I
told him differently.
refuse to believe Jerry Goldsmith wrote this. Larry Goldsmith wrote the music.
That's his like evil twin brother who gives all the
His
crap projects
evil
to.
chimp brother, Larry Goldsmith.
Oh my god. I love that canon as him having an evil twin monkey brother
Yes.
who's also a composer, but he only does circus tunes.
Only does circus tunes. Larry Goldsmith. Oh, man. Well, Greg, have you watched anything that was good this week?
I watched quite a bit. Speaking of Elizabeth Shue, we mentioned this before. I watched Adventures to Baby Sing again. I've got a soft spot for this movie. This is one of the, like, it was on cable a lot. I would always watch it whenever it was on. I did get it. So I'd watched it once a year or two back when it was on Disney Plus initially. And then I watched it again. I got the Blu-ray copy, and I was amazed at how much Disney sort of sanitized out of their copy. Like, there's a lot of sexual references and innuendo in the original cut that is just gone in the Disney Plus version. It was kind of surprising.
Interesting.
And it was probably cut out of the cable broadcasts too, because it was like whole slices of scenes that I just had no memory of because they had just been cut out of every version I'd ever seen. But I mean, yeah, I don't need to say a lot about that. That's like a classic kid adventure movie. Go watch that if you like 80s kid movies. Becky and I finally got around to watching The Eternals. Speaking of Disney Plus,
Okay, interesting. I haven't watched that one yet.
yeah, I mean, I won't spoil anything since you haven't seen it. But honestly, the less said about it, the better. It was bad. I mean, it was boring and too long, and the scenes, like the CGI was really bad, and there were too many characters, and it was just kind of a slog. And it's like almost 3 hours long.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I might have said watch it to make, just to be up on your Marvel lore for the other movies, but I'm sure it'll connect to something. But like, I've seen all those movies and nothing really connected to anything I had heard of. So unless they're really laying groundwork for brand new characters, I just didn't give a shit about any of it. Like, from a lore perspective.
Think I read something in which they tried to move the Eternals away from the main story because of the risk of it failing, right? I think some of these newer ones that they're doing, they're going to play it safe and not integrate it as hard.
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense now that you described that, because I could see a studio executive be like, this is kind of a risky plot. There's like a huge ensemble cast. It's like, we're jumping through huge swaths of time. It's just a little too out there compared to like even, like an Ant-Man or an Iron Man, like a more approachable Marvel movie. It doesn't surprise me that they wanted to kind of like keep a healthy distance just in case it bombs, which it did. So I guess smart business decision there. What else? I think the last thing I'll bring up is I continued my dabbling in the silent era, and I picked up a set of like a collection of the old Buster Keaton movies. Kino Lorber, they did a sale for some of that stuff, so I picked some of those up. And I watched The General, which I think might be one of his more well-known ones. That's the one with him, basically, it's essentially him on a railroad the entire movie, kind of like a chase scene on the railroad, and hijinks ensue. Man, it's always amazing to me how outrageously dangerous the stunts were back during that time.
How he didn't die,
right? Like, I mean, everyone knows the sort of like the front of the house falling over and him like threading that hole, like, but he does shit like that in every movie. Like, there's these scenes in this one where he's like hanging off the edge of a train, like a real steam engine going at speed. And there's one where he's sitting on the front of it, like he's sitting on the cow catcher, and he's like knocking off railroad ties in front of them. Like, one bad step and he would be easily slipping under those railroad, like under the wheels of that engine.
Exactly. I think the house frame one is so. I think it's like one of the least dangerous things that he's, because you could do the math and go like, yeah, this will not fall on you. Just stand literally right there and you won't die.
Yeah.
It's the trains shit and all the other stuff that is shocking that man did not die.
Yeah. Wait, was that Buster Keaton who did the house thing, or was that Charlie Chaplin?
I think both of them did something similar, but Buster Keaton did the house thing.
Okay, I thought so. I wasn't too sure there, but I'm no silent era expert. But yeah, I mean, it's just like the crazy things that they got away with back then, and yeah, how they didn't die. I mean, you almost have to think like for every Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin who survived to tell about it, how many actors are there who actually like bought the farm?
That's a movie,
right?
That's a movie right there. Like, it would be like me and you back in the day, we're watching a Buster Keaton movie and we're like, we could do that. And it just shows us constantly getting fucked up trying to do that movie.
like living in the shadow of Buster Keaton and wanting to make it big in the silent era.
The movie comes out, it's a hit, but we're so messed up we can never do a sequel or anything like that. Like, it would end with like the movie studio coming and be like, oh, Phil and Greg, like, we need you to do another one. And we're just like, oh, no. And that's how, like, the movie ends.
Or we actually die in the making of the movie and we're ghosts.
Yeah.
And we have to sort of, like, and they want to shelve the picture. And we have to use our ghost powers to get them to release it by, I don't know.
Exactly.
Doing
haunting poltergeist type.
executives.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. That's a movie right there.
Amazing.
That's trademarked. Copyright.
Patent pending. What have you been watching, Phil?
So I watched Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Oh, that was the Paramount Plus new one, right?
The Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's exactly what you expect when you get Beavis and Butthead. So you get what you get. I rewatched The Return of the Living Dead, in which I reignited my ever-loving passion for Linnea Quigley. The movie's perfect. It's a 5 out of 5. If you've never seen it, go watch it. Absolutely amazing. And then I watched Shaft on 4K this week.
Hell yeah.
And I gotta say, that movie is so good.
Yeah.
The story is so, like, simple and well put. And again, obviously Shaft was made, by black people for black people. And it's so refreshing in a 70s era movie for Shaft to have ownership of everything that he's doing and not get talked down to. Even when he's speaking with the white detective, Vincetti, they're friends, right? They are helping each other out throughout the film.
Yeah.
And it might not look like they're friends all the time, but that's just to keep up appearances. I don't know. It is definitely a refreshing thing to see. From that era of film.
Because, comparing it to some of the crap that we've been watching for the podcast, which are, they especially the early stuff is super racist. So by comparison, it's very refreshing. And honestly, I think I said this when I watched it, but yeah, it's really obvious how that movie saved MGM, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good. It was the first time Jackie has seen Shaft, and she kind of compared it to Superfly that we watched a little bit back, and she said Shaft was definitely the superior film out of them. We're actually going to watch all the primary Shaft films, because I know Shaft itself has a couple sequels to it. I think like one is like Shaft in Africa, and Shaft's Big Score. I think are the two direct sequels to the original one. But next we're going to watch Shaft from 2000, which is the one that stars... I'm blanking on his name.
Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And then we're going to watch the most recent one from 2019, in which, like, Sam Jackson, Richard Roundtree, and another guy are in it.
Oh, wait. I'm getting confused now. Like, there were 2 remakes?
Sequels. So they're all sequels. Because, like... So the original Shaft with Richard Roundtree has a Lega sequel of sorts, Shaft of 2000, in which Sam Jackson is the son of Shaft.
Oh, okay.
In it. And then this one from 2019 is the son of the son of Shaft.
But they're all called. The titles of all these movies are just Shaft, aren't they?
Exactly. And the latest one has all the shafts in it.
Okay.
Exactly. So
Interesting.
we'll eventually get there. Well, Greg, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and this is where I reveal to you the next movie. And I'm not done with monkeys. And
More
I'm
monkey
probably
movies.
not done with bad monkey movies. But this bad monkey movie is probably going to be better than what we watched. And we get to watch it on Shudder. We're going to watch Shakma.
Shakma!
The 1990 film Shakma, starring Amanda Wyss, who is from Nightmare on Elm Street, and Roddy McDowall, who used to be a monkey in the 70s.
I like the idea that he wasn't an actor playing a role. He was actually like a monkey who transformed into a human being and became Roddy McDowall.
Exactly. So we're going to watch a genetically mutated baboon go bananas in this sickening slice of animal horror.
Wait.
Shakma.
Was this a canon movie?
Wait, is it? If it is, then we can't watch it.
Okay, no, I figured this was like a similar movie case where we wanted to do two monkey movies back to back and compare and contrast, but God,
Shakma is not a canon film.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I just want to make sure because it seems like it
Oh.
could be.
Man, I almost got a panic there. I was like, did I pick like one of the last canon films?
Oh man, but yeah, it will be good to see because I think Becky and I watched Shakma a while back after we saw the Red Letter Media episode where they talked about it. So we're like, oh, we should watch that. Just like based on the trailer alone, where that guy yells Shakma, it's so good.
Exactly.
But I don't remember a lot about it, so I'll be happy to watch it again.
There we go. That's right. You can watch Shakma on Shudder. Get your promo code 50% off of your subscription of Shudder. Shudder.com/that's canon. Promo code that's canon. If it doesn't work, email Shudder.com. Figure out why that's canon promo code isn't working.
And don't sue us.
And don't sue us. And you can also watch Shakma for free on Tubi, but that has fucking ads, and that's for chumps.
Ew, chimps?
Chimps. It's for chimps. Chimps and chumps.
Chimps and chumps and chuds like to watch ads.
Well, if you like what you're hearing, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment anywhere that you can. We're available on all the major podcasting networks. And also go ahead and go to youtube.com/that's canon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can hear all of our great back episodes and some of the funny videos that we make along the way. And remember, since we said it,